Safety committee meeting today. Why do we have an echo? Today is. Can you? Oh, is it- Today is, okay, we're gonna, all right. Today is Wednesday, June 12th. It is now 6:44 p.m. Apologies for those who are here for this tonight. I did not have quorum, so I appreciate the council president for stepping in last minute. Pursuant to chapter 20 of the Acts of 2022, this meeting of the Public Safety Committee is being conducted both in person and via remote participation. A reminder that persons who would like to listen or view this meeting while in progress may either attend here in the City Council chamber or use our Facebook and YouTube pages. Today we have committee member, Councilor at Large Selena Reyes, and Council President filling in for quorum. At this point, can you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Actually, Council President, this works great because you're the one who wanted this meeting. All right. Can I have a motion to untable item, which item is it again? What number is it again?
Before we make a motion, Madam Chair, I would like to
Council
make
President.
a motion to nominate Councilor Selena Reyes, the Vice Chair of this committee.
I just recently learned from the city attorney that the chair can second, so second. Discussion. Thank you. She does accept the nomination. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the ayes have it. The only committee that didn't have a vice chair, we finally have one, thank you. All right, we are here for item. Give me 1 second, I should have highlighted this. Can I have a motion to untable item 217-18, sex trafficking and prostitution in Lawrence? Motion has been made, properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it. We do have our provisional chief with us this evening. Thank you, chief, for being so patient with us this evening.
No problem.
You have the floor. I believe you provided us, okay. So essentially, chief, we're looking for any updates that you can publicly share. We are aware that certain police operations cannot be publicly shared. But any updates that you have pertaining the sex trafficking and prostitution in Lawrence would be greatly appreciated.
So in the second question, which is the, in reference to item 217-18, is that what you're referring to?
Yep,
Okay, this particular item was first introduced by former City Council Pavel Payano,
correct.
and it's a two-part question. The first one is about sex trafficking, and the other one is prostitution. So I'd like to split it in two, because it's different.
Yep.
So, we have one case of sex trafficking in 2017, this we're going back to 17, and that involved a victim that was 15 years old. The case involved two family members who, of this 15-year-old person, and two family members were arrested, and they were charged with human trafficking of a minor. That's how much as I could tell you. We have no other cases. That's the only
So that's the only one. So to date, we have no other cases. We're talking about sex trafficking, the first part, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so to date, there are no cases.
No, but however, I just want to make it clear, and you should know that we have a team in the Lawrence Police Department that deals with missing person. So let's say, for example, you reported a juvenile missing. An officer would do an intake and try to locate the missing juvenile. If we're not successful in that, during those 8 hours, we pass the report up to the detective division. And besides that, we have a team that works specifically with juvenile at risk. And this team meets every month, and they discuss and go over cases, and they identify youths that are at risk so that we could properly assist them and place them and help them out. So we're in contact with the school resource officers that work in the school department. We are this a youth high-risk team, which meets every month, like I said, and this team is comprised of personnel from the Department of Youth Services, DYS, the Department of Children and Family, DCF, Probation, the District Attorney's Office, the truancy officer from the Lawrence Public Schools, and we meet to they meet to identify and those youth that are at risk, and if they are, we put them to a program, and when appropriate, this youth is referred to the Massachusetts Youth Diversion Program. So that's when it comes to that juvenile at risk. With some of the juveniles that are at risk, especially female, could be exploited and be used for sex trafficking. But so far, only one case.
Okay. Councilors, with that being said, do you have any questions or comments for the provisional chief on this first part of the item? Council
Yeah.
President.
Thank you, Chief, for being here and actually provide us with this update. As you mentioned, the city of Lawrence is in a position that can handle this type of cases when it comes to a minor that it was, for some reason, one way or another, getting into this situation.
Of course, we have a team in place.
Okay.
Not only do we have a team, we have partners in the community.
Yeah, all right. And when it comes to prosecution, do you have a process, methodology on how to proceed with those type of situations and on emergency matters?
Well, in this particular case, 2 family members were arrested. I don't have the outcome, but more than likely they got convicted. And when they get convicted, we either work with the juvenile, or that's as far as we go. Once they're convicted, they go to jail. We deal with the juvenile, place them in the program, counseling, whatever they need.
There is any correlationship between this situation and gang-related issues?
Now that we don't have any case like that, but that could be a possibility. But we don't have any cases like that.
Thank you much.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, Chief, we can continue with the second portion,
All right, so let's
prostitution in
address
Lawrence.
B, which is prostitution in Lawrence. In the Lawrence Police Department, we routinely conduct sting operations targeting prostitution in our city. We work in conjunction with the Massachusetts State Police and other agencies. During these stings operations, we use undercover females posing as prostitutes and usually target the Johns, the males. I could tell you that on April 8, 2024, we arrested 21 males in that operation. Okay, and the
Can
latest
you repeat that?
21 males. got
I'm sorry,
arrested.
the years.
April 8th of this year.
Wow.
Because we do this throughout the year. So the first of the year, the first one we did was April 8th that I'm aware, and 21 males got arrested. Okay, and just yesterday we did another one, okay, in conjunction with the Massachusetts State Police High-Risk Victim Unit and the Massachusetts State Police Gang Unit, and 8 males got arrested, and they were charged with soliciting sex for a fee. So 8 of them got arrested yesterday. And we continue this whenever we can, every month or every other month, or when we get a lot of complaints, we try to bring the team in. But this happens throughout the year. It's a little slower in the wintertime for some reason, but if, comes the summer, we're on top of it.
Councilors,
I would entertain any questions you have on that.
councilors, any questions or comments for the chief? Council
Yes.
President.
So I'm assuming that you also target females that are providing services as well.
Yes, we do.
And then usually either or, do you provide any type of way out to the issue? Perhaps female if they have issues related to drugs or any type of addiction. Do you guys provide any services or any type of resource when it comes to getting detox or perhaps any type of help?
We have a homeless coordinator, and if that person is in our list of homeless, which is what usually is the case, we provide services. And we get in contact with the court, and when they get arrested, it's a good opportunity to present, like, okay, do you want to go to jail, or do you want to go to treatment? and they usually pick treatment.
Okay.
Chief, are you referring to the city's homeless coordinator, or does the police department have its own?
We have a coordinator, lieutenant, and we have 2 officers assigned, to do that.
Yeah.
So we have a good list compiled, the homeless that we have in the city. And every Friday, we put it out to all the officers to be on the lookout if they need any services. If anybody wants to get out and go to a shelter or to a detox. And they're always on the lookout.
All right. Usually, the areas that we have this type of situations are typically the same areas year of the years, or it change over the years?
Well, this type of, what you want to call it, business, prostitution, they usually concentrate more like in main avenues like Broadway, Essex Street, and that's what we target. Some cases like Cross Street, I don't know the reason for that, but they concentrated like in the downtown area.
No, the reason that I'm asking is because if we know that over the years is the same area, we can develop other strategies around, because we know a fact that is location. And the fact that you know the location, that might help when it comes to providing or creating other type of a strategy around the same issue.
Yeah, well, when we talk about strategy, right, we're concentrating more on the males that are looking for female prostitutes.
Either.
And what happens with us, we develop a plan according to the type of complaints that we get, like from the business community on Broadway. Listen, what are you doing about this? So that's the way we handle it.
All right.
So we are responding to complaints and problems, especially in the business community where it's concentrated.
There is any approach for being proactive instead of just waiting for complaint?
I don't know that you could be proactive when you have a male that just get out of work and you're trying to look for a prostitute. How do you be proactive on that? It is what it is.
No, I mean in general with females as well.
Well, the female, you find a lot of them have drug problems, and they find themselves in that situation. They got to do whatever they got to do to get their fix. But if it's a female that we know and we see her, we approach her and offer her services. Find a place to go or detox center if this drugs are the problems. Drinking is a problem. We have a program for that too. So we're on top of it.
I just want to make sure that the reason that I asked the Madam Chair to actually get an update on this is because summer time and hot weather tend to be a little higher when it comes to that, as you mentioned, and we need to have a good plan when it comes to target those specific issues around a specific area.
Yeah, like I said, we're constantly doing operations, and when we get the complaints from the business community, we address them. Because it is an issue when you have a business and you have a prostitute in front of your business. It is an issue, so we try to address this problem as much as we can. So we do multiple operations during the year, and we will supply the reports, and the council, will see it.
It is safe to say that at least once every 2 months, one of those operations is going to happen during the summer?
If it was up to me, I would do it every month. But, we count with other, partners like the state police. As you know, we're down 22 officers. We're trying to recruit. So sometimes it's difficult to do it ourselves. So we have to wait for those agencies to be available to us. But every time they call and say we're available, we do it. We appreciate the help, and we look for the opportunity to, tackle this problem.
No problem. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Chief, when you mentioned that services are offered to these individuals, what occurs if the individual says that they don't want the help or they don't want the service? What happens then?
Well, we take the information and keep tap on them. What usually happens, they don't want it today, but they'll want it tomorrow. I'll give you an example. I don't think we can arrest ourselves out of this situation, the homeless, because you arrest a homeless who's probably sick or dope sick, and you bring them to the station. They're sick. What do you do with them? You got to take them to the hospital, babysit them. So we have options. Say, for example, we go to Bay State Road. There's no trespassing sign. We identify this homeless person that we have talked in the past and declare him a trespasser. We say, listen, we got you here. You're about to get arrested. I'll make you a deal. I'll summons you into court in 6 months. But you got to promise that you're going to go to a program. If you don't go to the program, we're taking it to court on this particular charge. And then most of the time they say, yeah, I need help. And we also get information about the family members of this person, so we could call them. Sometimes they're looking for them and they don't know they're good.
And they don't know where
so
they...
we do a lot of follow-up. But but some of these people just don't know how to live in the street. You know, but we keep a tab on them, we know where they are, we have identified about 95% of them. And believe it or not, 80% of those people belong to us, they live from Lawrence.
80%?
80%.
Wow.
80% of the people that are at the shelter are 19 low. I talked to the director. 80% are ours. So that perception that they come from another state, maybe, but 80% are ours. Now, when we talk about homeless, right, you have to remember when they were under the bridge, the encampment there, there was a couple, a married couple, religious. And so I'm working the detail one day, and, you know, I got there about 5:30 in the morning, and they getting up, they have water, they were washing up, and they were going to work. So I stopped them, and I asked them, what are you doing here? You're not you're not a drug user? They said, no, we're not, they just couldn't afford the rent.
Yep.
And, you know, we started paying back in the 80, $350, then $400, now it's up to like $950, we just can't do it. And they just raised the rent again, now we're paying $1,500, so we decided that we're gonna come here for a year, save some money, and go to Florida. So some of these cases have nothing to do with drugs, nothing to do with alcohol, it's just they can't afford the rent.
And thank you for bringing that up, because that is another component of our homelessness, not just here in the city of Lawrence, in many communities, that is not spoken about enough. It's not just the substance abuse, but there's this component to it, so I appreciate
Well,
you
keep that
bringing
in
that
mind.
up.
When they say, well, they're coming from another, yeah, they do. But 80% are our people, they're ours, we own them. And I was surprised to hear that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this item, on item 217-18? Seeing none, can I have a motion to table 217-18?
So moved.
Motion has been made, properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the ayes have it. Can I have a motion to untable item 133-17, Lawrence Police Department, Lawrence Trust Act, report section 9.20.060, and that was brought to us by then Chief Fitzpatrick.
And motion to take it off table?
Motion has been made by the council president, seconded by the vice chair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the ayes have it. Councilors, I'm running on 4 hours of sleep. I was a late night studying for an exam, so if I'm a little slow today, I apologize to everyone. Chief, you have the floor. Actually, before we give you the floor, Council President, I know last full council meeting, you specifically wanted is there anything in particular that you would like the chief to answer?
Well, as per the ordinance, we should be getting a report every 6 months. We haven't get a report for a while,
Okay.
so I think it's due. So it's
On this particular item?
yes.
Okay.
And I'm assuming there's no report, so.
The trust act.
No, I have two that I want to share with you.
Okay, perfect.
So
Okay,
this
go
goes
ahead.
back to, this is item on 133-17, that goes back to 2017, and you're supposed to get a regular report? I'm trying to educate myself.
Every
Council
6 months,
President.
as per, through you, Madam Chair, as per the ordinance, every 6 months, we're supposed to get, the city council is supposed to get a report on
Okay,
this.
well, I apologize for that, you know?
No, but
No,
if you don't
that's-
have the report now, that's fine.
No,
We
but I
can
got
entertain
something
it
to
later.
offer you.
Okay.
Okay, so pursuant to the Lawrence Trust on Act Ordinance 92/2015, I have two cases to share with you, and both those cases are from calendar year 2023. And let me show you just briefly what we have here. So on January 11, 2023, the Massachusetts State Police was executing a warrant connected to a drug investigation. They arrested 2 individuals, and they were transported to the Lawrence Police Department for courtesy booking, meaning, getting the information. After the booking, you put the information on the computer, I guess it goes nationally, and we had a call from Homeland Security. I think it was a fax, and issued by immigration or detainer. We didn't call them. They found out after the booking. So we booked them. We took those 2 individuals to court the next day, and we don't know what happened after that. They were not our prisoner. It was only a courtesy booking, nothing to do with us. So we didn't report anything. They found out because when you enter the information, just when you take your fingerprints, okay, the FBI will know and they will contact you in 20 minutes. And, Homeland Security is a federal agency, so they have the same resources. They called us, they put a detainer, we took them to court, they took it from there, had nothing to do with the Lawrence Police Department. The second case, it was on January 25th, 2023. The Lawrence Police Department arrested an individual on a domestic violence warrant. Okay, so we got a call, he got arrested. After that, he was booked at the Lawrence Police Department, and we received a fax from the immigration with a detainer. No additional detail was offered to the Lawrence Police Department. We transported that individual to court. We don't know what happened after that. Nothing to do with us, we didn't report it. They found out, they placed a detainer. 2024, 0 cases. So those are the only two, 2023.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief. I was actually, as you were speaking, I went back to the email that Teresa sent you, just to remind myself of what the committee is looking for. And there's a last component, and it's about what is the plan for the summer when drugs activity increase in our city.
Yeah, sure, I can answer that.
Now, what you can, I don't want you, obviously, you don't want the city to know police operations,
I'm
but
not discussing
what
police
you,
operation, I'm gonna tell you what we have done.
Thank
And I'm
you.
gonna go back to March 22nd, when I got appointed acting chief.
thank you.
You know, I'm pretty sure there's things happened before me, but I wanna make sure you know what we have done since I got on. So, I could tell you that since March 22nd, when I was named acting chief, our narcotic division unit confiscated approximately 11,637 grams of Class A fentanyl. It's a lot of drugs. And 2,596 grams of Class B cocaine. Just 2 weeks ago, we went to a house in South Lawrence. I can't tell you the address. We're still investigating, and we confiscated approximately 10 to 12 kilos. Listen to the kilos of fentanyl, and thousands of fentanyl pills. There was a fentanyl lab, and they have the press. I mean, it was a big operation. I can't give you more about it because it's being investigated. This is a big operation, but it happened in our city, and we're dealing with that. And I could also tell you that we do what we do every year. We partners with the DEA, with the state police, outside agencies like other police department, create a task force, here in Lawrence, and we do this all the time. I mean, every week we're doing great arrests, great work, with limited personnel. But and if there's other investigation taking place right now that I really can't discuss, but you'll see the results soon, and I'm going to report that to you.
Thank you. Council President.
There is any event or situations that happened that the police department ended up confiscating a specific amount of drugs due to a traffic stop lately?
I don't have the numbers, but it happens all the time. Like in this particular case that I just mentioned, 10 kilos of fentanyl. We really can't store that at the police department. That's very dangerous. So we called the state police, and they came with a chemist. They packaged everything. I don't want that in my station. We're not capable of handling that much drugs. So, it's very, very dangerous. They had the chemical suit. It was an 8-hour operation that we came upon in a call. And so as far as on motor vehicle stop, I mean, you stop a guy for running a red light, for example, and you smell marijuana, it's not going to give you probable cause to search your car. It's legal now. You can't go into the car.
I'm more related to illegal drugs, fentanyl, cocaine,
I know, but
and
I
all
don't
that
know how we can, say for example, in a traffic stop, okay, how can we get into the car to search it without a probable cause or reasonable suspicion? Now, let's say, for example, you stop a vehicle and the officer's trained in detecting, being under the influence of drugs, and he, maybe, but no. Or say, for example, that we stop a car, and for some reason the insurance was no good, and we got to tow it, and we do an inventory of the vehicle, and we find something. That's another story,
No, and the reason that I'm asking is because sometimes out-of-state vehicles that come from another state to transport drugs to Lawrence or from Lawrence to other places tend to be a potential target.
Yeah, we know that, and we have a good street narcotic unit, and they're trained to detect that. So they do an excellent job, believe me, they do. I mean, look at the amount of drug they confiscated in less than 2 months, 3 months that I've been in charge. If I go back to January, it's unbelievable. I don't know how they do all they do with the limited amount of resources and manpower. They do a great work. I mean, I have some other number that I could share with you guys if you want, you know, I could tell you. I could tell you that, imagine this, right? And I mentioned this the other night. There are police departments around us, you know, surrounding in the Merrimack Valley that take between 4,000 and 5,000 calls a year. The Lawrence Police Department, okay, the Lawrence Police Department is averaging, and I go back to January, and I'm gonna give you a conservative number, and I know it's higher than that. So imagine the Lawrence Police Department taking 4,500 calls in January, same amount in February, about 5,000 in March, because I looked at the numbers, 5,000 something. In April, 4,500. In May, we took, because now it's getting hot, 6,299 calls. So if you go back and now the summer is just starting, it's an average 24, almost 25,000 calls. So we are on target to finish a year with between 50 to 70,000 calls. If you look at that, we're doing more call for service than Lowell, Drake, Methuen, Andover, and North Andover combined together. I mean, we're a working department. This is a lot of calls. How do we handle them? And we service each one of them. We go to every call. I mean, we're a busy police department, so I'm very proud of the boys and the job they do. This is high value for a small city, 6 square miles. It's a lot of calls.
No, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. I mean, we just want to make sure, like, when it comes to, we don't want to be a safe haven when it comes to drugs, and that's basically what we want to avoid, and want to make sure that we develop the plans that are required for us not to be that city or town that people tend to look out to get drugs, or perhaps get you know, have an opportunity to come over and with that purpose of selling drugs. So we want to be very hard on that, because essentially that reflects the quality of life to a lot of people.
I understand this. And every time you feel like you want to bring one of the supervisors that have more knowledge than I do, because I'm managing the whole department, I'll bring them in and you can ask them any question you like. I mean, they'll respond. I'll bring you a supervisor, and he will give you the perspective of what they're doing and the amount of work they're doing.
Madam Chair, through you, the intent of these conversations that we have today, and it's to continue having it and getting specific reports on a specific issue that affect the quality of life of the constituents, and also to make sure that we are on top of information of what is happening at the police department level, or the safety of the city and overall. So anytime that, you know, every so often, we're gonna call for this meeting and preparing those type of data to the public, because it's not to us. We're here on the
No,
TV
I
and
understand, yes.
people's watching this. We definitely appreciate any type of information that is provided
What I
to the
like about
public.
today's meeting is that there was a specific question that you needed answer to. You know, if you're bringing me here and you just throw in question and I don't have the data, you waste of time. But when you ask specific question, I could bring you the data so you understand what we're really doing.
Essentially, through you, Madam Chair, the safety committee always gonna be around these topics that we asked today, and any other that you see on the agenda that we probably don't have, or you believe that it's important to report on, you can also tell us, like, I have a reporting item, this, because I think it's important for the public to know, to develop that public trust. And that's the intent. Always is gonna be around those topics, but we have many others. And today I'm gonna actually, through you, Madam Chair, I'm gonna ask for a couple other items so you can take it. And then next time that we have a meeting, you can report on those as well.
If you
In
could
general.
send me an email and say, this is what we want to know, you know, I could probably bring my homeless coordinator, I could bring people on my team,
Yeah,
so
sure.
that they specifically, they know about, and they can talk to you about, and you can ask questions.
We'll do that for the next
With
for the
pleasure.
next one.
Can I have a motion to send correspondence to the provisional chief on item
On item 12422.
12422?
12522, which is, those are related to illegal, non-registered motor vehicles.
I have all the data on that.
Yep. I'm pretty sure that you don't have it now because you're not ready, but
Counselor,
next time.
what's the next, Council President, what's the next item?
And the same one that we discussed today, and 33014, which is the crime reduction strategies for the city of Lawrence. That item been there for a while.
Motion has been made by the Council President. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by the Vice Chair. Discussion. Quickly, Provisional Chief. Anytime you feel like you should have support from your team, more than welcome to do that. Provisional Chief Castro brought in reinforcement, would bring reinforcement. Also, Chief Vask would do the same. So, yeah, so whenever you don't have to know it, like you said, you manage a whole, a whole
Yeah,
team, a whole department. So you don't have to come before us and have all the answers.
I wasn't sure, but,
Bring whomever you believe can help you answer these questions
Excellent.
for us.
Yeah, okay.
All those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Motion's been made by Council President, seconded by Councilor Reyes. All those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to the Budget and Finance Committee meeting. Today is Wednesday, June 12. It is now 7:22 p.m. Voting members today, we have to my left, Councilor Wendy Luzon. To my right, Councilor and Vice Chair of the Committee, Vivian Marmo, and Council President Giovanni Rodriguez. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2022, this meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee is being conducted both in person and via remote participation. A reminder that persons who would like to listen or view this meeting while in progress may either attend here at the City Council chamber or use our Facebook or YouTube page. At this point, can you please join me in the pledge? Councilors, we have no minutes to approve today, so we're going right into new business. Item 264-24, transfer of funds in the amount of $530,000 from free cash to the fire department overtime account, brought to us by the Fire Chief Moriarty. Chief, you have the floor.
Good evening, councilors. How are you?
Tired.
As we discussed briefly last week, I have a budget shortfall this year. Again, as we predicted a year ago that it would be. We watched it throughout the year. We divided up, saw where it came. We did a best as we could to cover the losses that we had, but we had a number of items that we are not able to budget for, which were 6 retirements that were well over $340,000, as well as we have a lost time factor, of course, and didn't get as much overtime as I had requested. So that brings us to the point, we met with the mayor and the CFO. I thought we were gonna be okay, but then they met with somebody else after us who was in worse shape than we were, so we didn't get any of the money we thought we were gonna get, so we need to come and ask for $530,000 to get us through the end of the year.
All right, councilors, any questions or comments? Council President.
Through you, Madam Chair, when you say the end of the year, you mean the end of the fiscal year or the end of the year 2024?
To July 1st,
To July 1st?
fiscal year. Yeah.
So the 530,000 is for, well, a month.
I'm sorry?
$530,000 is for fiscal year, end of fiscal year 24?
To the end of this fiscal year, that's correct.
So,
We're not spending that in 1 month, it's just that that's what we end up in behind, the overtime and the retirements.
Oh, behind, okay.
We put it all together where the shortfalls were, and that's the amount we're short.
so that's for
To make it easy.
previous,
To make it easy, it'll all go into the overtime account and balance out.
okay, I got you. All right. So technically, this is not for a month, it's for previous
So
month.
this whole past year,
Okay. All right.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Motion to send it to the full council for recommendation.
Motion has been made, properly second, discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And the ayes have it.
thank you so much, councilors.
Thank you. Item 265-24, transfer of funds in the amount of $500,000 from free cash to special project account for Child Care Scholarship Program, brought to us by Mayor DePena, and we have our CAFO here to speak on this. CAFO?
Good evening, councilors. This is a transfer of $500,000 from free cash to a special project account to pay to help fund the Child Care Scholarship Program. And this transfer will get the Child Care Scholarship Program through one more fiscal year, through June 30th of '25. Attached to my memo is a brief description from the community group as to a part of how the program works. And also Maria is here to answer any questions you may have specifically about the program itself.
Councilors, any questions? Council President.
Council, is that, well, probably more to the administrator of the program. Sure. What is the long-term plan when it comes to this program? So are we talking to the school department? Are we talking to any other department that can probably help us figure it out what we're gonna do at long term?
So there might be a future step that we take. Right now, it's separate from the school department. What has happened since the program inception is that it actually has informed policy change at the state level, where we started with over 300 children in this program, and now, we believe that up to 100 children would suffice, or somewhat suffice, the capacity that we have, or the demand we have right now for the program, because the state has made enough policy changes because of this program that a lot of the families that were receiving these funds were able to transfer into state funding, which is really more permanent and more stable. And that was really the purpose. As soon as we find somebody, we identify somebody that's eligible for state and their name comes up on the wait list, we transfer them from this to the state funding. So really, there's three functions that the program has right now. It's one, the bridge of families that are that have a job right now. I mean, for those of you that understand this, it's a little bit of a childcare. It's a little bit of a complicated childcare subsidies. It's a little bit of a complicated system, but you have to get on the wait list, and the wait list right now is six months to a year. If a family has a job right now, they are not able to start working, because they don't have childcare right now. This program allows you to start childcare right now, and then when your turn comes up on the wait list, then you can transition, which is great because there's a lot of turnover in the program. The second, it also provides relief for families in the financial cliff. That's a tough one. Everybody, or a lot of employees got a little bit of an increase in their salaries, and they no longer qualify for subsidies based on the state system, which is also something we're working on. I'm part of the board of the Early Education and Care of the state, Department of the State, and I'm trying to inform them in terms of the issues that we're having at the city level, so it can inform the rest of the state as well. So a lot of the families are making too much money to qualify for state subsidies, but not enough to pay for childcare. We all know that childcare is very difficult to afford right now. So those families in the cliff are actually getting some help while we figure out how to solve that issue, because that's a whole other. And it also is a safety net for the most vulnerable families in Lawrence. We know we have unique, or issues that are unique to our city, and for some reason or another, whether it's paperwork or, immigration status, they are not able to qualify for any type of subsidy. So we are at least allow them to, if they're working, to access this fund so they can have childcare, safe childcare, licensed childcare, and go to work. This funding stays 100% here. It impacts families, children, employers, and obviously the early education providers in the city, which are numerous, mostly family childcare educators. Sorry, I spoke too much, so.
No, that's fine, actually, that's what we need. Through you, Madam Chair. So essentially, have we figured out what is the issue at the state level and that we be able to solve with this program so we can recommend the specific solutions within the program, not with what they have changed already, but still reminding that it could be a different program at the state level that can change in general to help out not only Lawrence, but many other cities and towns that are going through the same thing.
Yeah, I think we could be creative. I think we need to sit down and maybe with the district and talk about creative ways to, address the situation. I don't think the program should disappear. I think we can minimize the funds that it needs, and we have significantly. We actually have a significant amount of money left over from last year because we reduced the number of families, or we maximized the number of families that transfer into the state program because of those changes. So it's very slow to change things on the state level, as you know, but we have changed enough where it made a huge impact in terms of the money that it requires every year. $500,000 at this point will finish off up to 100 families or 100 children at any given time through June of 2025. Hopefully we'll continue making changes where we reduce the amount of funding. Ideally, we always will need some funding to cover those families that have no other option.
No, the reason that I'm asking these questions to you, Madam Chair, is because at some point, we need to sit down, we need to figure it out, what is the future of the program, because the fact that we have collected so much data, a lot of people might think like, oh, it's up to the expenses of the city of Lawrence, but at the end of the day, we have received help from the state in other aspects. Providing this type of data that also gonna help the city is something that, you know, we need to continue doing until we can. But we gotta make sure that, you know, thinking proactively, sitting down ahead of time, with different departments, including the state, that this could be a potential program that it could be a pilot program, but funded by different sources of funds, not only the city of Lawrence.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanna keep on asking those type of questions, because they're gonna force us to look around, and also the potential of being a pilot program through the state to help them out to provide all the type of data that they might not have.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think one of the biggest beneficiaries of the program are employers. You know, we should bring them to the table in terms of what can you do to make sure that you get employees, you know, because everybody's having a staffing crisis. So is there any type of benefit they can give to their staff members in terms that can make up for the subsidy that the city is giving the parent? So,
And last questions, Madam Chair, through you. A lot of employers, they taking advantage of this program. And they also providing bonuses on specific places where they need people. So, you know, having conversations around these might be able to open up that conversation with employers that also can provide those bonuses that they provide to employees. Perhaps could be through a healthcare, a daycare provider, that it might become more significantly impacted to the family and the potential workforce than just, you know, straight out funds to the people. So that's something that we definitely need to start the conversation, because we need to think about the long-term solution.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think last year, the goal was to make sure we work with the state to make sure that they open access for families that really, they encounter a lot of barriers. And, you know, the state removed a lot of those barriers. Again, thanks to this program, and so it's now statewide in terms of the state level funding. But I think we can work on that goal for the following year in terms of, okay, what is the ideal mix of funding, so it's not only reliant on city funding, and bring those people to the table.
Thank you. Councilor Luzon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, question, and I got a lot of calls from my constituents about this today, but I have a question for you. So you mentioned in the letter that families are served immediately. How are you handling the newcomers? Are they taking priority over residents that are here for more than 6 months? I just to put an example out there, because we know that we have received so many new families that are coming to the city, because this is a gateway city. How are you handling that?
We basically, first come, first served basis when it comes to the office, or coming to the office and applying for a voucher. For a long time, again, because the access was not blocked or was not closed by the state, access is closed by the state now, unfortunately. So we are seeing a lot of people in the wait list trying to access these funds more than they were before. So we didn't have a wait list going on for this program. I expect that because access to state funding has been closed for about a month or two now, I expect that we're gonna continue getting more and more demand. We're up to, I think, 92 children. We can take up to 100. I think at some point, we might have to develop a wait list, and it's not, it's not unlimited funding, so we have to cap it somewhere.
Through you, Madam Chair, but it looks like that families that have been here for longer are put in like in a second place. And I understand you're trying to resolve an issue that's not going to be resolved soon. But families that are here living in the city for more time, they are getting placed in a second place.
That's
So are
not
you
part-
getting that type of complaint? Because I'm getting those types of
I
complaints.
haven't. It's not part of the eligibility criteria when the program was first designed. Obviously, the program can be fluid and adjust to whatever it is that, the city wants to do, but the eligibility criteria really is the family working? Do they have a job right now? Do they need childcare right now? Do you have an educator right now that you have, that is licensed and that you can send your child to? So it just flows when you come in, same as the state subsidy, that's not an eligibility criteria for the state subsidy.
Through you, Madam Chair, but the state has a waiting list. Am I correct?
It's a wait list, but it's not based on residents.
So through you, Madam Chair, if I move here, if a family moves here this week, they are eligible to apply for those funds immediately?
If they're residents of Lawrence,
But residents of,
Anytime.
through you, Madam Chair, residents of Lawrence, that we need to check what exactly
Residents
means.
of Lawrence plus the criterias that you just mentioned, they have to meet those
they have
qualifications.
to work, they have to do.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean they're residents of Lawrence, they just, through you, Madam Chair, for you to be a resident of the state, you have to be here for a certain amount of time.
Well,
So are we, my concern is, it's not necessarily my concern, I'm speaking on behalf of some of my constituents that are saying that the families that just got here are getting the benefits that's supposed to go to the families that are already here. That's their concern. And I'm putting it out there, so maybe that we can find a solution, a resolution, solution in the near future. But basically, my question, maybe you can enlighten me, Madam Chair. What
No,
is
just
a
repeating.
resident of Lawrence mean? How long do I need to live in the city to become a resident? A day, an hour?
you have to have an address in Lawrence, basically, have an actual bill that shows that you live in Lawrence.
To you, Madam Chair, that presents an issue to the people that have living here for longer and not getting the benefits that we're giving out to other families. Just to put it out there, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, how is the community group checking whether the address, like, they can have a bill, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's their residence. How are you confirming that they're actually living in that address that they're providing to the organization?
We follow the state procedure. I mean, we wanted to make sure that we copy the state without adding barriers or burdens. Like that was the main thing for this program. And as long as the name matches the identification card of that person and an address in Lawrence, that's valid.
Through you, Madam Chair.
Councilor Luzon.
So I can move to Lawrence. If I move, let's give you an example. So if a family moves to Lawrence today, they can apply for benefits tomorrow. And you don't ask questions. You're just gonna ask for an ID or a letter, a bill.
We ask for employment, sorry.
No. So I just trying to understand. So through you, Madam Chair, so it looks like the benefits are supposed to go to Lawrence residents. We need to define what is a Lawrence resident and for how long they need to be in the city to apply for benefits. It looks like that anyone can come to the city, a family from Haverhill, and get benefits are supposed to go to real Lawrence residents. That's how I see it. So unfortunately, for some of the families, this is not,
Yeah, I mean, I validate, I will have to advocate for, you know, I believe sometimes the people that just came into our city, which is a gateway city, are the most vulnerable. They're the ones that need help right now. You know, they really don't have any type of support system. They have nobody else. So I feel like, you know, we can advocate for them on the other side of the spectrum. I completely validate that point because I would work with families that are that have longer residence in the city with regards to getting them access to the state wait list or the state funding, because I feel like they've been here enough to be on the wait list for longer and their turn would come up sooner. So I think there's ways that we can work on that, but I think maybe that's a question we can ask in terms of like, okay, so you've been here for this long, why aren't you in part of the wait list, the state wait list, and what are we doing wrong that you're not? Because again, that's on us too.
and through you, Madam Chair, it doesn't seem fair to families that are here, that have been here for longer. And I understand, we have a lot of newcomers, I'm an immigrant myself, I understand the process, but I also know that I'm getting calls from my constituents, and they don't understand the process. But I read here that the word immediately, it explains that anyone can go and apply immediately. But for other applicants, it looks like an issue.
Right,
Thank you,
anybody
Madam
can do
Chair.
it, whether you're here 5 years or you're, like you said, 2 days.
Through you,
I
Madam
mean,
Chair.
through you, Madam Chair, with them, Madam Chair.
Guys,
Point of
hold on.
clarification on this?
Council President.
Yes, since you guys were looking at, since your councilors were looking at what it means to be a resident of Lawrence, I went through the ordinances book, because we have this discussion before in 2016. I just don't remember exactly what we have back at that moment, but I find the definition of a Lawrence resident in our book of ordinance. So I
what
want to
is-
offer that definition through the committee. Lawrence residence means a person for whom the principal place of residence is within the city for at least 6 months prior to the award of particular construction project. That is for the purpose of construction project. But that's what it says there, that is a
least
Lawrence
6 months.
resident.
So Maria, now you know, it's at least 6 months. Moving forward, if they're a resident of Lawrence, they have to be living in Lawrence for at least 6 months. That's per Lawrence ordinance. It's the law. That's our law.
This is a city program, you know, it belongs to the city. I'm happy to sit down and discuss it, like, what should be the eligibility criteria, you know? What is working and what is not working, you know, I'm happy to sit down with the city and talk about that and see how can we benefit the people that needs the help. I would also, I'm gonna go back and also consult with the state in terms of like, what do you consider a resident of Massachusetts? You know, when somebody comes in from another country to apply for a state voucher.
It's it's I mean, it's the same and not at the same time. If one of your criteria is you have to be a Lawrence resident, our local law says they need to be living here at least for 6 months. That is the current law.
Maybe I used the wrong, I mean, you have to live in Lawrence. That's really what we said. We have to live in Lawrence.
Which live is the same thing as being a resident of Lawrence. But I think the feedback is valuable. I think this is great. Definitely something, you know, for you guys to take back and see, you know, what can be done, what cannot. The good thing is that we're having a conversation about this, and we're, you know, you're giving us information that we perhaps didn't know, and we're having a healthy conversation. So
It's a great program. So I
We know.
appreciate it, and I'm much more,
We know.
I'm so grateful that it really
We
is.
know.
It's doing this for early childhood education, so.
All right.
Through you, Madam Chair.
Counselors, Counselor Luzon, last question.
No, I'm
Last
going to
comment.
make a comment. I just, it is a great program, and it's helping a lot of single moms or families in general. But we just wanted to make it better. And then I made that comment so we can improve, and we can make sure that the benefits go directly to people that are living here that I've been here for a long time. Well, not for a long time, for the time that the ordinance says. But thank you for what you do. We appreciate your work.
Point well taken.
Thank you,
so much for the
Counselor.
feedback.
At this point, can I have a motion for item 265-24?
Motion to send it to the full council with a favorable
Second,
recommendation.
Motion has been made by Council President, second by Council Luzon. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the ayes have it. Thank you so much. All right, item 266-24, year-end transfers between departmental accounts. CAFO, you have the floor.
Good evening, councilors. This is an annual process that we do every year in the Mass General laws. We have up until July 15th to make year-end transfers between departmental accounts to avoid any projected shortfalls. We're not allowed to deficit spend. So this is a list, a comprehensive list of our projected deficits in all of the city's accounts. As you can see, there's a couple pages of transfers. The first page is the transfers for the general fund. And you can see the from and the to column. It's roughly, there's 1.3 million worth of transfers coming from and going to. The highlights of those transfers are where the money's going to is primarily the 676,000 that's going for trash disposal and trash pickup accounts. That's a projected deficit for this year. During the year, during FY24, the cost of disposing of recyclables was not, we didn't have enough in the budget for that. That's primarily the reason. There's also some debt service on the debt service for the Parking Enterprise Fund. The Parking Enterprise Fund can't pick up their full debt for the debt service on the Museum Square, so we're picking that up from the general fund. But I had that covered from our financial reserve for CIP policy. We have certain amounts that have to be appropriated every year, and that account was able to cover the balance, so we didn't have to use any free cash. So we are using free cash of $386,000 to balance, primarily for the trash, as I just indicated. There's a few other accounts in here that had that we project some shortfalls. And the police department, they have $175,000 for their fuel. I'm not sure what happened there. They use an awful lot of fuel, but they had enough funds from some of their accounts and some other accounts, primarily from this free cash and a few other accounts where we had we're projecting excesses. And so that's, in a nutshell, in general, the first page of the schedule of transfers. The next page has a couple transfers for the Parking Enterprise Fund, just moving money from salaries to another account. Airport had one account, their workers' compensation needed another $27,000, so they're making a transfer from their airport retained earnings account. And the water sewer department has a transfer of $49,000 from one of their special reserve accounts out of retained earnings, pardon me, to close that account out. So that will close our year with no credit balances and in compliance with the Massachusetts general law.
Thank you, councilors. Any questions? Council President.
So I'm seeing, Carfo, that there is a $386,000 from the general fund that is going to be to cover the remaining balance. Is that that's something that we usually transfer funds from the free cash to balance this?
Usually it's a small amount. I think last year we definitely used a few $100,000 last year. Some years we were able to do it without using free cash. We have enough transfers, but
because usually it's not quite.
676,000 for the trash accounts. So that was more than the other accounts we could find or we project. I mean, we still may have some if salaries, some of the overtime in the police and fire. We were estimating what we think their final overtime will be. So there are still some accounts that could have some balances at the end of the year, but right now we're using free cash to make sure we don't go on the red. And then if we do have any balances at the end of the year, we'll close back to free cash at the close of this year.
So when it comes to the transfer two, I'm seeing that the community development permanent salary is getting $53,000.
Yep.
Is that something like, because usually we budget for the permanent salaries. So this is something that was
Well,
after the
yeah,
fact, they hired
It's a
somebody?
little unusual for the community development department. What happens is, in our general fund budget, we budget approximately 200,000 for community development salaries. And basically what that account is for is all of the people that work in the community development department, they allocate their time to community development and a bunch of other grants.
Yeah.
And when they do work that can't be charged to a grant, they charge the general fund. So, you know, if the mayor asks, we've had quite a few projects that were, they've been working, the opioid funds, some are charging their time to the opioid funds, some may not. And so that account is roughly, I think it's 53,000 we project it'll be in the red at the end of the year, or what they've already charged. And it's time that they couldn't charge to one of their grants. So the city's got to pick up the tab for that.
So let me see if I understand correctly. So this is basically funds that extra to the salaries that they were hired for?
No,
Or
it's just their
special project
regular
that they're getting
salaries.
extra
Yeah.
money, or?
Yeah,
Just
it's
a regular
the
salary.
regular salaries. For example, you know, a person could work, they work 35 hours per week, and if they can charge 33 hours to grants, that's great, but there's 2 hours they're short, that has to be allocated to that 200,000 we provide them. And so that's really what this is the time that they couldn't charge to one of the grant projects.
All right, just wondering, because usually you don't see the economic development or community development, any of those programs that are running from a specific grants, you don't see it on the transfers.
Well, again, their grants pick up most of their salaries, but when, particularly Sue Fink and Kate King are the financial people, they do the finances for the entire department, which is grants and then some non-grant eligible projects that they work on, that they have to charge that time to the community development. They can't work on non-grant stuff and charge it to a grant that's
I got you.
illegal, yeah.
I understand. When it comes to account 5915, or the objective 5915, the debt service, so yeah, that account run around $14 million every year, approximately. So this is just interest of those funds?
The other
That
loan
we need to
interest
pay?
account, I believe the account that's short is the other loan interest, which we pay the short-term interest on our deficit loans. That's part of the other interest. So that account there, just the way we budgeted, is we borrow that every fall. We reborrow that those deficit notes every September, and they come due. And we just had to pay a little bit more than we anticipated in that account particular. So that's the one where we have the money available in the reserve for debt service policy, because we always put in 14 million, and we allocate it to specific accounts of the interest that we know we're gonna pay, and then the interest that is allocated per our financial policy, which is 7% of our net general fund revenues, I put in this other account. And so there was funds in that account to pay this amount.
All right, Madam Chair, I have one more question through you that I get yesterday when we were together at the Neighborhood Association, and this is in regard to an issue that happened last year with the $2.7 million that get transferred, and then we didn't get any status. So, do you mind providing this committee with a status of the general information that can be shared in public when it comes to the transfer that happened last year for the $2.7 million, and then there's some issues with that, and
Can you refresh my memory what the
That's in
2.7
particular,
million transfer was?
the 2.7, from the school
from
department.
the school department, and
That was-
then
that
it
went
was
missing.
somewhere, and
Yeah.
missing, and then it get.
Then it was found, and then, but there was no formal
remember.
report.
Oh, are you talking, you're talking about something that happened with a payment. The payment was.
Yes, that's what we're talking about.
But it was a payment that was, school department paid something and fell, it was an internet scam, and they fell prey to it, but unfortunately, our banking system was able to flag it for us, and we withheld that transfer, and we recovered all the money except for the slight fee that particular bank charged us to freeze those funds. So it was like $6,000 or $8,000, which the school department paid for. So
No,
it
I mean,
wasn't
and I'm glad that
2.7
you
million.
mentioned that, because, I mean, that happened last year. We get a lot of, information from different sources, but not the official information, because people were concerned about it, but I'm glad that you brought it up. If you have any type of information regarding to that information that is the actual fact, we definitely appreciate it when it comes to specific numbers. So next time that you come to the committee, please provide us with a quick report on that, please, if possible.
What numbers are you gonna be looking for, I guess?
That specific situation, the entire situation, we
A
just mentioned.
memo, just what you just said, but in a memo in writing.
Well, I think
Because we're getting a lot of like, people don't know what happened at the outcome of the situation. So I didn't actually know until you say it right now.
I can ask, I'll see if the superintendent has something. I'm sure he's put something out on this.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll check
whatever
it
you
out.
guys have,
Okay.
please share with us in writing, and we're gonna have that information for anybody that asks the question. I have a few emails that have come up on that, and I wasn't able to respond. So we highly appreciate it.
And to reiterate, even though it happened a year ago, we did get this, a constituent asked us yesterday during the South Lawrence West Neighborhood Association meeting. So it's still being asked till this day. Thank you, Counselor. That's what we're asking for. Any questions or comments? Counselor Luzon.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. And you already know that I'm new at this, but I do have a question about the Human Rights Commission and the Human Rights Commission office supplies. And I just asked Madam Chair where they transfer this money from what to point A to B. Where is the transfer? Can you explain?
Yeah, all of the transfers from total 1.3 million, and they're transferred to these accounts here. So it wasn't specifically transferred from one account to another account. It's, how we prepare this is we look for the projected deficits, which are the twos, the numbers that are in the 2 column. So these are the accounts that we determine are probably going to need, or projected to have a deficit balance if we don't make a transfer. So then we total that up, which is 1.3 million, and we have to find 1.3 million to transfer from. So we're looking for available accounts to transfer from. So we found all the available accounts from existing accounts, such as the human rights is just part of it. There's a salary account of 25,000. Nobody's drawing that salary, so we could use that to bail out one of these accounts without using free cash. So we did have, as I mentioned earlier, we are using 386,000 of free cash, but generally we try and do these transfers without impacting free cash at all. But the trash was short 676,000, which is a little bit more than we could.
Through you, Madam Chair. So this money is going back to free cash. That's what you're saying?
Well, if
The Human Rights Commission,
they didn't
allocation.
spend it, it would have gone to free cash. So we're using it to avoid taking it out of free cash and taking it out of that account and putting into one of these accounts that are going to be short.
through you, Madam Chair, but no one spent, that money is supposed to be there, but no one spent the money.
They didn't spend it. That's
Yeah,
correct.
so the money is there somewhere.
It is there. I mean, there's 2 accounts there. They had salaries of 25 and office supplies of 3,500, but that office has been defunct. It hasn't been funded. So the money's just sitting there. So instead of taking out of free cash, I'm taking it from that account to give to these other departments to bail them out before, so they don't have a deficit at the end of the year.
Okay, now I understand. Thank you so much.
Council President. No, she understands. Is there? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, at this point, can I get a motion for item
Motion to send it to the
266?
full council with a favorable recommendation.
Motion has been made, it's been properly second discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it. All right, item 267-24, the reauthorization of Bellevue Cemetery revolving fund accounts expenditure limit of $95,000. Kafel?
So just briefly, all of the revolving funds, this is for items 266 through 273, it's all gonna be the same, or same my preamble will be this. Every year we're required, these are the revolving funds, and every year we're required to have the council reauthorize those revolving funds. And in your package, we're starting with the cemetery, but in your package is is a cover letter, which I kind of list them all in a group. It's a Bellevue Cemetery, the Council on Aging, Recreation revolving fund, a Veterans Memorial Stadium revolving fund, Library revolving fund, the PEG Access Cable related revolving fund, and DPW Recycling revolving fund is new this year, but it has to be renewed if we want to continue it into next year. So basically, in your package, and we'll vote on each one of these separately, but for example, the Bellevue Cemetery revolving fund there's an order that I put together with the following Mass General laws, whereas under Chapter 53.5, and it has a bunch of paragraphs here. Each of the revolving funds has an order for you to vote on similarly to this one. In the Bellevue Cemetery, one of the requirements is we ask for the order has to contain what the funds will be used for, and there's a brief listing of what they'll be used for in your packet, and also an estimated expenditure limit for that fund. So if they spend more than, in this case, we're asking $95,000, which is usually more than they spend in a fiscal year, but if they were to spend over $95,000 in FY25 next year, we'd have to come back to the council to spend $100, so we try and make the limit reasonable for each department. So the first one before you is the Bellevue Cemetery revolving fund.
Councilors, any questions or comments? Seeing none, at this point, I'll take a motion.
Motion to send it to full council with a favorable recommendation.
Motion has been made, properly second, discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it. All right, item 268-24, the reauthorization of Council on Aging revolving fund accounts expenditure limits of $150,000. Kafel,
Motion
the
to
same.
send it to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Motion has been made. Is there a second? Seconded by the Vice Chair. Discussion, seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it. Item 269-24, the reauthorization of Recreation and Parks Self-Supporting Service revolving fund accounts. Kafel, I don't see an amount here.
That is under, that's the only one that's under section 53D, not 53E.5, so it
Okay.
does not require an amount. They have a separate limitation, however, balance at the end of the year, if it's over $10,000 or some limit, it has to be returned to the general fund. So they do not require a limit in their renewal.
So
Any-
there's no money.
Council President.
There is no money for this then?
It's not required to be listed in the order to renew the revolving fund. The recreation revolving fund, it doesn't require a limit on the expenditures. It's whatever is used in the program, they can spend that money. It's less than $40,000, I believe, every year. It's only 20 to 40,000. And then they have one other limitation, which is the balance at the end of the year. If it exceeds 10,000, goes back to the general fund, which does not happen.
Motion to send it to the
They
full
raise
council
it
with a
every
favorable recommendation.
Motion has been made, properly second, discussion, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it. Item 270-24, reauthorization of Veterans Memorial Stadium revolving fund accounts expenditure limits of $100,000. Is there a motion?
Motion to send it to the full council with a favorable recommendation, discussion.
Motion has been made, is there a second? Second. Properly second, discussion. Council
So,
President.
Council, can you walk me through on this account a little bit, as of how they spend the money and stuff like that, and so far, so on?
Yeah, this revolving fund is for the stadium, and the DPW is in charge of maintaining, and they rent out the facility. They don't have a lot of rentals, but, you know, whenever they do have rentals, that rental money would go into this revolving fund, and so they can pay the expenses of the stadium out of the revolving fund instead of the DPW's budget.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Caffo. I just want you to look into the ordinance, because I remember that we changed the ordinance back then, 2015, 16, somewhere, 17. And we changed the ordinance when it comes to few things on the stadium. So please take a look at it. I know that you probably haven't looked at it for a while. Just take a look at it and then we can talk.
Is it the when you
memorial.
say the ordinance, is it, there's an ordinance for the stadium, you mean?
Yep. But you don't
The
have to, you don't
operations of
have
the
to,
stadium?
yes.
Okay, I got you.
You don't have to provide any answer right now. Just look into it and then, maybe provide some advice on that when it comes to the administration of that. Right?
All right. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it. Item 271-24, the reauthorization of library programs revolving fund accounts, expenditure limits of $50,000.
Motion to send it to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Discussion.
Motion has been made, properly second, discussion, Council President.
Caffo, this is the amount of dollars that we were discussing before when it comes to getting the library on the process of being out of receivership, or that's completely different?
Yeah, no, this is not. This is a revolving fund when they have rentals or they rent out space and so forth. They have programs. They can run it through this revolving fund, so they can raise money through this revolving fund and then pay some
Gotcha.
expenses
All
out
right.
of the revolving.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it. Item 272-24, the reauthorization of PEG access and cable-related funds revolving fund accounts appropriation in the amount of $357,000.
Motion to send it to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly second. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it. Item 273-24, the reauthorization of DPW recycling revolving fund accounts expenditure limits of $50,000.
Motion to send it to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly second. Discussion?
It's $50,000.
Discussion, yeah.
Council President.
This is on regard to the potentially purchasing the new recycling bins?
This is to, yeah, if somebody, they charge somebody to replace their bin, it'll go into one account so they can buy another bin. I think the trash bags that they sell would also go into this fund, so they can spend it on other recycling materials.
All right, thank you for the.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it. Item 274-24, rescind reimbursement requirement for creating a thriving Lawrence funding awarded to Lawtown Boxing, and we do have Director Pimentel from Community Development Online. Director?
Can you hear me?
Hold on just one second, Director. We can hear you on the laptop, but it's not going through the speaker, so just give us 1 second.
Sure.
Can you speak again, Director?
Good evening, counselors. Can you hear me?
No, we thought it was fixed. Give us 1 second. What, she's on Zoom. What mic?
She needs to be louder. Abuela, just be a little louder.
Good evening, counselors. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great.
You have the floor. Director.
Okay, thank you. We have submitted this request to rescind the reimbursement requirement for the Lawtown Boxing Gym. This gym is basically operating completely based on donations and volunteers. They provide a lot of services and support to our youth, and they need, obviously, the funding, and they need to rescind that reimbursement requirement due to the fact they are not able to provide invoices since everything is basically on donations. Even their location is pretty much donated to them by Mr. Salopoli. So right now, the reason why we're requesting this is so they can continue to service the youth that they have. They have about 150 youth that they service weekly. They also are the ones that provide for any fees or registration fees for boxing matches, and everything is pretty much donated to them.
Thank you, Director. Councilor Luzon.
Director Pimentel, and through you, Madam Chair.
Did you just say that they're not able to provide invoices?
Receipts for purchases.
Why is
Any
that?
receipts, everything is basically on donations.
No, but I mean,
what you're saying doesn't make any sense.
No.
No, it actually does. Everything right now that they receive is based on donations. What they want to do is actually start purchasing
Counselor, let her finish.
water bottles. Even their water bottles is donated.
I'm
They
sorry,
don't
Director,
pay
can
any
you-
of their certified trainers. They're all volunteers. So with these funds, what they're now able to do is to be able to start purchasing, whether it's equipment, paying for
Director
trainers.
Pimentel,
Yes.
can you start your statement all over? There was a bit of back and forth on our end. Just restate what you were just explaining from the beginning.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. So basically, everything is donated to the Lawtown Boxing Gym right now. Even their water bottles, their fees, and even their certified coaches, they're volunteering. So right now, they're not paying anyone. It's all based on donations at this point. Even their location is donated by Mr. Salopoli, who owns the building.
Councilor Luzon.
Are they 501c3? Are they registered?
Can you repeat that again? It got cut off.
If this
Organization is registered as a 501c3, as a non-profit, are they registered with the state?
They are registered as a nonprofit organization. I think that there must have been some error when they actually applied for the Thriving Lawrence, because they were not able to provide, all these receipts that basically would be required for their grants. But if they do receive now this funding, they can actually start purchasing, whether it's equipment to expand, paying their coaches, salaries, and things like that, where right now they cannot.
Through you,
Madam Chair, very concerning
in the
in the information that you are providing.
This is
This is very concerning.
I don't know
I don't know how they're planning to function as I know profit.
They have to
They
have
have to have a
system
system
in
in place
in order
in order to prove
what are the
the donations that they are getting.
Right, but donations are not reimbursable. So right now, for them to participate in the Thriving Lawrence grant, they need to provide invoices, right? So the only way they can do that now is if we actually start providing a grant for them so they can now pay from their registration fees, uniforms, water bottles, traveling expenses. It's similar to what you guys already approved as a city council body, where now there is presidents for the La Federación Hispana de Comerciantes.
No, that's through you, Madam Chair. It's different, Director Pimentel. It's completely different situation. It's different. So don't compare the federation with this organization. I think if we do this, we're going to be opening a door to other nonprofits that are not in order.
Council President.
Just to provide a little bit of history about that, about Lawtown. Back in 2016, we actually, they were aware, I believe it was either $5,000 or $10,000 for equipment from the CDBG's funds, and that's basically when they are basically taking on. We visit the organization. Back then, it was, I believe, a few officers that were part of the trainers. And essentially, the kids, the payment that they require for the kids, it was a 5-gallon container of water. That was the requirement, well, not the requirement, that was the donations that each kid were required to bring so they can get trained at the facility. It's located in Merrimack Street. I completely understand the situation when it comes to finance. They're not receiving funds, and if once they spend the funds, they're going to be reimbursed. But the fact that they don't have funds right now to spend, they're not going to be able to purchase the equipment and then get the reimbursement. I also understand the concern that Councilor Luzon, building up on what you were saying, that this is going to open up a box of can of worms, una caja de Pandora en español. But I understand both situations. But I also understand the situation of the organization, the fact that they are not receiving any funds to be able to train those kids, and they're not requiring any money to the kids to be trained there. So they're not generating any funds. The rent is free, and the equipment were partially donated by many people, including the city of Lawrence back in 2016, for them to be able to start up the program. So it's a tricky situation.
Director Pimentel, is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I just think this is a great organization. I was shocked. I went myself and I inspected the site. I was shocked to see all the kids training there, our Lawrence kids, and they've been doing this for 16 years. Not charging anything. They don't charge our kids anything, the youth that are there. And as you know, the city of Lawrence has a big crisis, especially when it comes to gangs and drugs. And as you heard earlier from Acting Chief Bonilla, there's kilos of drugs in the city of Lawrence. There's so much going on, and they are literally keeping our kids safe. They're giving them a physical activity, and they're not charging anything. They're completely just volunteering, all the trainers, Monday through Friday, 4 to 8. And they do an amazing job, and they've been doing this for 16 years now. And I think it goes a lot to show for that organization, what they're doing. And that is mostly one of the reasons why Mr. Sal Lupoli has actually offered that space to them where they train and doesn't charge them anything. I would love to see them expand for, to be able to support the youth and be able to actually start paying for all those traveling expenses and registration fees when they go out to matches and everything like that. So I just think it's a great organization. And unfortunately, they just, they run basically on donations at this point.
Through you, Madam
Thank you.
Chair.
Give me a sec. Counselor Marmal.
Director, do you happen to know the information in regards to the amount of kids that this organization serves, in addition to how many volunteers?
150
What are the
kids a
hours
week.
of operation?
Yep, 150 kids a week, Monday through Friday, 4 to 8. And then on Saturdays, they do the trainings for matches. So it's Monday through Friday, 4 to 8.
Counselor Luzon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not questioning if they are a good organization or not. They're doing great things for the city. But it also shows that they are not very organized. They've been providing services for years. And based on donation, I found that very concerning. What I think we need to find is another way to help this organization. Because if not, I know of others nonprofits that are facing the same challenges. And yes, look to lack of organization. And we're going to have to deal with them too. We have to find another way to help them get funds.
Madam Chair.
Council President.
What was that, through you, Madam Chair, what is the amounts that the City of Lawrence, through the ARPA funds, consider these organizations to be having, to receive?
Director, can you hear us?
Can you repeat that? Go ahead. Can you repeat that question again?
We're looking for the amounts that the organization received through this grant from the city.
They haven't received it, but it's $80,000. But
Can you repeat? And you said that they have not received it?
No, they
Okay. Counselors, can I get a motion to send this item up with a favorable recommendation?
I make that motion.
Motion made by the council president, seconded by the vice chair Marmal. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any noes?
No.
Roll call.
Council President Giovanni Rodriguez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Vivian Marmal,
Yes.
Councilor Wendy Luzon,
No.
and Madam Chair Stephanie Infante.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, Director Pimentel. Okay, next item is item 275-24, the authorization to expend grant funds in the amount of $79,500 for the fiscal year 24 PSN. Hold on just one second. Give me 1 second. PSN grant award from the EOPSS. I was looking for the actual, but I'm sure you can provide that for us, Director. You have the floor.
I am here to present the grant for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts State Office of Public Safety and Security, or EOPS, under the fiscal year FY 24 Project Safe Neighborhood, or PSN grant. We are one of the lucky city that got invited to apply for these funds for $79,500.
Oh, the mic is on.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, I didn't know.
So we got to start from the beginning.
Not a problem. So, the city of Lawrence was one of the lucky cities that it was invited to apply for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, or mostly called the EOPS, under the FFY24 PSN grant, or the Project Safety Neighborhood. This grant is typically used to pay for equipment for law enforcement. We apply for this grant to pay for our shot spotters that we currently have for the city of Lawrence. We already have it, but we just needed the funds to pay for the renewal of the equipment.
I was going to say that this item sounds familiar. Did we already discuss a portion of this, or was it brought up? Is it done every year?
Yeah, we applied. The city of Lawrence applied for in 2022, and they got approved at the end of 2022. So we used the funds to pay for the first time for the shot spot. It was for $90,000.
Got it. Okay. Councilors, any questions or comments? Council President.
Well, I usually don't question much about the police department when it comes to grants and stuff like that, but on this grant particularly, there was a few articles on the Boston Globe, and there was a few things going on throughout the state with the shot spotters. So you say shot stoppers, and then you say shot spotters. Which one is the one? Shot spotter, right?
No, shot spotters.
Okay, got it. So, I don't know. Probably you don't have the answer. You just gonna come in front of us to make sure that the grant goes through. But I would like you to go back and report a few things around this. So, according to the article, this technology was mostly targeted to minority communities that tend to be a little different than other communities. And it happened to be that Lawrence acquired this grant, and we have the spotters. So I would like to know more about how the technology get used. What is the benefit of the technology? Obviously, there is obvious reasons that we know was the importance of the technology, but how the technology work in general, so we can get to understand that a little more. And we also get to know more about how these grants actually get awards, and how many other communities tend to or are trying to actually get into this type of technology, and if there is any feedback when it comes to targeting specific communities. I'm just talking based on what I read before, but it got my attention when I was reading that, and I know that there was a couple of news outlets that were looking for information when it comes to this. You probably don't have the information, but maybe next week you might be able to provide some information regarding that.
We might actually name for the record, please.
Good evening. Sergeant Dar, I've been assigned to the information technology for Lawrence PD. I wasn't aware of the grant of its renewal. However, I can speak about its technology and your question. As far as what it does, it sends a text message directly to officers' phone that will alert them, as well as an email with the sound wave of a gunshot fire anywhere in the city where that shot spotter is located. So you're talking about a moment's response, which is crucial. We've solved, I can't give you the exact number of cases. That's something we can provide you with the data, but it's significant where, we've had, obviously, cases that are being prosecuted based on this tech. And I can assure you that there's other communities that wish that they could have a technology like this that we're fortunate to have. There are other technology out there competing, which are kind of integrating ShotSpotter under one software, but that's for a later discussion, obviously, but yeah, that's what the tech does.
Problem. We can continue the conversation through you, Madam Chair, later on when it comes to the technology itself and other aspect within the technology that we might be able to find out more. That's fine, good.
Well, Sergeant Dart, can you actually work with Director Shepherd to get the data for us for next week's meeting?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Make a motion to send it to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Motion has been made, seconded by the Vice Chair. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it. Item 276-24, the authorization to expend grant funds in the amount of $273,602.75 for the fiscal year 24 State Traffic Safety Information Improvement Grant Award from EOPSS. Director Shepherd.
So we were invited again to apply for the EOPS under
EOPS.
the
EOPS, is that
EOPS.
EOPS, okay.
Under the FY24 State Traffic Safety Information System Improvement Grant under Section 405. This type of grant was offered for the very first time to the public, and when I say public, it means law enforcement, college, nonprofit organization. We are using this grant to pay for equipment. This equipment is for the police department for the electronic citation. As you're probably aware, most of the law enforcement are going electronic, trying to stay away from paper citation. That will eliminate errors when they type in the information on the tickets. Information will be downloaded faster to the RMB and the core system, and it will reduce the time where the police officer is doing a stop.
So how would the individual getting stopped get their citation if it's electronic?
So we will be purchasing laptops and printers with this grant. Would they be common?
Sergeant, sorry.
The IT.
I believe the IT expert here, police expert.
I can elaborate on that. So there's still going to be paper. There's not going to be any carbon copies. So they will get something that's a little more legible. It actually falls 2 inches from the actual device itself, which is a tablet. As you know, technology goes obsolete within 6 months, just like our cell phones do. So with the police department, we run it to the ground. 3 years into a device, when the antenna in the device won't last that long because bandwidth changes. You'll go from 4G to 5G and back and forth. So as these are being end of life, we need to look at what's new tech out there, what's going to be beneficial for the cruisers. Obviously, it's very important when we go from call to call. We can't afford to have a device like that shut down on us, and it does. It's been, we've paired up also with different vendors to test this technology for almost a year now. And I think, which is G-Tech, I think it's the right device to go with in order to make sure that we have that connection that we require.
Your councilors, any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to send it to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Motion has been made, seconded by Councilor Luzon. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it. Thank you so much. See you next week. Councilors, can I have a motion to untable item 437-23, solar PPA and lease contracts with Soltech Electronic for 5 years? For 5? Oh, I'm sorry. I have one more. No, I'm sorry. LPD is fine. I have one more new item. Item 291-24, authorization to transfer $40,080.36 from retained revenues. And we have our airport manager, Mr. Ureta.
Thank you, Madam Chair, councilors, good evening. I'm here requesting to transfer $40,000 out of our retained revenue for the purpose of a construction project that was completed at the airport. This is our 5% cost share. It was also met with federal and state grants as part of this. While the construction project was ongoing for the taxiway realignment, some additional work was completed that was authorized by the FAA. That was drainage, that was a slope that failed during a large rainstorm. That was a new flag, wind cone at the airport. So what we're asking is to use some of our retained monies to pay for those at this point in time.
Councilors, any questions or comments? Council
Make a
President.
motion to send it to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Motion has been made, properly second. All those in discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Councilor. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Can I have a motion to untable item 437-23, solar PPA and lease contracts with Soltech Electric for 5 city properties, 3 schools, 2 city buildings?
Motion to table item 437-23.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by the vice chair. All those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it. Mr. O'Neill? Sorry.
Good evening,
Look at this.
Madam Chair and respected councilors. Appreciate your opportunity to bring us forward the material that you had requested. I think you have all that in your packet. You asked for 3 things, and I think we have given all those 3 things. There was attorney's letter, and there was buy versus sell option, buy versus PPA option, and you asked for one more information. We have given all the information as you requested. So we have with me here Brian and Norman from Select, who can give additional answers if you have any questions. Brian is a senior VP of Select, and he has come from away to answer all the questions. Chad could not come because he had prior engagement. And I'm here to answer any other questions you may have. I believe you also have a letter from our water department director indicating his experience with all the issues that he has encountered for the solar property we have. I should remind you that that solar property was something that he asked me to help with. I did help him. We asked Select at that time to see if they can help us bring that system back, which they did it in last May, and the system is performing now. But this was an experience worth understanding of what happens if you share the system and if the system doesn't perform. Last 10 years, it has underperformed almost all years. It was expected to produce 430, 440 kilowatt hours per year. It has reached at most 390, then 360, and then rest of the time, a lot less than that. Unfortunately, it was not being monitored, and because it was not monitored, nobody knew what to expect, and I think the expertise required to do these kinds of things, we just don't have. And now it is under the contract for managing the system. Select is the ones who has been chosen for doing the management, and they are actually monitoring the system 7/24. So in case something goes bad, they can jump on it and help us out. But that's the experience, just to be sort of considered while we considered all other options that we have. If it is PPA, you don't have to worry about it, because if the system doesn't produce electricity, they don't get paid. It's that simple. Anyway, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to sort of answer them, but I'm hoping that we have satisfied everything you asked for and given you after all the efforts. I'm hoping that you'll see that this is a great opportunity and city would benefit from it. We ask that you allow us to go forward with these projects. Thank you.
Councilors, any comments or questions? Council President.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to speak on this matter. I received this information yesterday when it comes to the option of having the city owning instead of leasing. It sounds like the pushing on this is to actually make sure that the city lease. I'm not 100% convinced yet. I need to evaluate what you guys sent. I haven't been able to analyze it and digest it and send it over to others that know more about solar when it comes to having the city, or me making a decision to allow the city to either lease or own. Me personally, I don't have any questions. I would have emailed it or perhaps ask you guys to come, but I'm still having digesting all the information that you guys sent yesterday. I don't know if that was a request from the organization to come in front of the council, but I mean, on my end, personally, I was still reviewing the information that you guys sent. It's quite a amount of information that is requested to be reviewed. I mean, I personally not taking this slightly, like, because that's something that I'm expecting a lot when it comes to new technology coming to the city, and I personally still reviewing it. Like I said, I'm gonna review it myself. Also gonna get advice from others, and perhaps I get specific technical questions that I'm gonna provide a good site for my constituents when it comes to these specific, those specific projects that you guys are bringing. To be honest with you, when it comes to the letter that we received today from the water and sewer director, I appreciate anything that he brings to us, but I appreciate more when it comes to his expertise. And not necessarily the project that is on there, because it wasn't originally the people that put it together, and perhaps not quite convincing me. That's not going to convince me at all, having any type of letter from any department with their experience, because that could be something that we know how employees might tend to work at some point. So to me, it doesn't make much difference. I appreciate it, but information that you guys sent, I'm gonna analyze it. I'm gonna look at the systems that were provided, and also gonna try to understand it more when it comes to the benefit of the city, whether leasing or buying. And I understand that the compromise of the $56,000 that the organization might have to National Grid, and that have a deadline. Yes, I understand that. But unfortunately, I have a responsibility to my constituents that I need to, I can't take those into more consideration than the people that I represent.
Capo.
I just wanted to just make a general comment about, remind the councilors about what we've gone through to get to this point. Because we don't have the technical expertise in this area. Although I'm a financial expert and I can evaluate the lease versus buy, it's really the solar and how does the solar work. And the contract that the city has with the Select to make these projects work, and the negotiations back and forth on all the intricacies of that contract. We don't have that expertise. That's why we joined Power Options, to make sure a conglomerate of many communities and other nonprofits. So we're counting on their expertise, who negotiated, put this out to bid, and Select Energy was the successful bidders that they used. So we're relying on their expertise to guide us for our energy needs. So I just wanted to just make that clear to the councilors that we are relying on the experts to do this. If there are other experts you may have, I would like you to know that the experts that we're using, Power Options, are in this field, and we pay I think it's $2,300 to join that organization every year to get their level of expertise. And their expertise is saying, this is a good opportunity for the city to save on electricity. Not really for the city, mostly for the schools. I mean, this is a small project, but we're trying to use this to scope out how it would work. and really, and if we can get more school buildings or city buildings, school buildings in particular, school department saves a lot of money. I mean, we're not talking a few $1,000s there. We're talking, potentially millions of dollars that can save our school system money. So I just want to assure the counselors that we've done our due diligence with this for quite a while now. We've been just trying to get everything that the city councilors have been asking for to satisfy your queries and concerns. So I just wanted to give a brief recap and assure you that we have done our due diligence on this one. And these are the experts here to answer any specific questions about the program.
Kath, I have a question for you, and then I have a general comment for everyone. What is the difference between, why can't this be presented one city property project at a time? Why are we presented as a package of 5?
Well, that's just our initial, and Neil can answer that because there's some credits.
I think the whole process is so cumbersome. We have to go with National Grid procurement process. So if you allow us to proceed with these things, we can then start doing everything in a sequential order. National Grid has actually given us a deadline for Arlington School that if we don't have the paperwork in front of them before middle of July, that project will not move forward.
I am so glad that you mentioned that, because I was accidentally included in an email that Chad sent. And I said this, and I specifically did not ask for you guys not to come, because I wanted to say this in person. I specifically mentioned what was it, 3 meetings ago of the Budget and Finance, my biggest pet peeve is when things are brought to us late, and then we're trying to rush because there's a deadline. And then I see an email from Chad saying, I was grilled on a forecast call today. I wasn't even supposed to be included in the response. And then further within the email, there's a comment about, this is from the city side, about getting myself and President Rodriguez on board with this, when all this time we have been waiting to get the necessary documents, and now we get it a day before. And now there's a rush to get this to be approved. So that is where we are at. I honestly, I personally don't care if we have to start from scratch, from the ground zero. I don't, because we've been asking for this on time and in a timely manner. Sir, say your name for the record, please. Name and address.
Norman Kumalo, 4 Dulane in Uxbridge, Vice President for Market Development and Regulatory Relations at Select.
Welcome.
First of all, I want to thank you for your public service. I've been a town manager. I was a town manager for 15 years, an assistant town manager for 9 years, and worked as a city planner the other years. I have over 30 years of public service. And here with me is Brian Hare, another veteran in public service. He has over 20 years as a committee or select board member. We understand your questions. I'm here to say the 3 questions that you asked at the last meeting were great questions. I share your comment about when you receive materials.
But here's the thing, great. But when I send an email by mistake about when is Soltech going to meet with the Budget and Finance Committee, when all of this could have been hashed out 2 weeks ago. But we just received what we were asking for yesterday. And now we're supposed to make, again, the same comment as before. We're supposed to make a decision on such a big project. So explain to us, how do we justify that to our constituents? This is huge.
Here's why I'm here. For Select, having productive, effective relationships with our public sector partners is part of our core mission. So your point is well taken. If there's an opportunity for us to engage all of you through the details of this project, we are available to meet with you.
Councilors, any other questions or comments?
I mean,
Council President.
through you, Madam Chair, I'm glad that I'm pretty sure that you guys are available, and I'm happy to hear that. The only issue that have happened here is that we have been on a situation that one choice was given, and then now the other choice of buying was given to us yesterday. So me personally, I can consider myself a person that understand a little bit about the situation, about this project. I need to kind of, like I said originally, I'm glad that you guys are available to respond to questions, but I need to review, send this out, and get technical expertise when it comes to not necessarily the project itself, but the option of either buying or leasing. That's going to be my biggest difference between whether or not I vote for the project in favor of it or I vote against it. The fact that things are being rushed through, I understand. That's how project goes. I also understand that it is my responsibility to respond to my constituents that I serve. And when it comes to this project, looking at this, the town, the city hall project, and looking at the intent of the enlargement of the project, and looking at the saving that the city is going to have over 20 years, that's what makes me think it through. I mean, leasing nowadays, I have seen with multiple people regarding this issue, either leasing or buying when it comes to solar technology. And people have different point of view. On my end, I'm gonna analyze both of the options, and then even though probably the city I might have a bunch of people telling me we're not ready to buy, yes, but I have the right to analyze it, and I have the right to tell my constituent, yes, it is better to buy, or it is better to lease, and then I be able to make a determination.
Capo.
Yeah, I just want to make one comment about that. Because normally a lease versus buy is a kind of a financial decision. It's pretty easy. Buy a vehicle, or should I lease it? And you can, and the evaluation's pretty simple. Whatever the lease cost is versus the total purchase price, and do you have the cash available to buy? You would normally probably buy because you save a few bucks. This is just a little different because it's involving the solar technology piece. And the reason why we're advocating for the lease option is because if we have the select will install the solar panels, and we'll own them, and then we'll enter in a maintenance agreement with them to make sure they're working okay. However, in a lease arrangement, they take all the risk, and they take the risk of generating the electricity as well, because they're guaranteeing us a price of electricity. So for the next 20 years, if those panels fail, they lose money because we have a guaranteed price. So the onus is on them to make sure if those panels aren't producing, they're going to be out here right away and fix them. Whereas if we own them and there's something wrong with the panels, yeah, they'll probably fix it, but they aren't going to jump on it. They may not jump on it right away. They'll jump on it whatever the contract terms allow. So in this particular case, I think we have a far higher risk of owning, because now we're going to have to make sure we're managing the maintenance of those solar panels. And I think it's it's kind of, and Ill and I evaluating, it's kind of a no-brainer decision, particularly in light of what the water department went through. They bought their solar panels. It wasn't operating for a year or two. Nobody knew, everybody's pointing fingers and so forth. And if we have 5 solar projects and that happens to us and we're not monitoring properly, that's problematic. Whereas in a lease situation, they're guaranteeing our price. We know what the price is for 20 years. They lose money if those things aren't operating because they're working on small margins as well. And I think I just wanted to point that out. This is quite a different analysis of lease versus buy.
So, give me 1 second, Council President. So I just to put things into perspective, we're trying to rush something that National Grid needs an answer to, correct me if I'm wrong, by the second week of July, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so to put things into perspective, our next full council meeting is next week. The week after that, that would be the next Budget and Finance Committee. Then the following full council meeting is the first week of July. So we have time to actually properly go through this. So I don't understand why we're not giving that opportunity to just, or trying to rush things. I wouldn't say given the
that's
opportunity.
fine,
I would
that's
say
fine.
trying to rush things.
I'm just trying to, we've done so much due diligence on this. I don't know if it seems to be overkill, that's all. But if you guys feel more comfortable, reviewing some more information, asking more other questions, we need your vote to make this happen on behalf of the city. So whatever you need, we'll do.
So again,
I'm just trying to point
careful,
out.
I'm going to stop you right there because it's down to overkill. So let's go back for a little bit. We received the lease agreement, like I mentioned 3 weeks ago. 50% of my committee are new members.
Actually, that was October of '23.
I'm saying right now.
No.
They did not have this, and we received it the same day. Now, the materials that was sent to us yesterday, for example, my vice chair just got back from vacation late last night. So I'm sure she has not, I don't want to speak for you. Have you reviewed the documents? So exactly. So it's not an overkill. We know why we're saying things. And it's not to be difficult. And I know it sounds like that, but there is a reason why I ask for things not to be submitted late. Or not late, but last minute.
Well, we try and
Through your manager.
get things where we can. But, like the contract, for example, is 189 pages long. I don't think the councilors need to read that. We've had our city attorneys, and that's been negotiated with Power.
But again,
You're certainly welcome to do so. But
the letter of the city attorney was just submitted yesterday, and again, my vice chair, just an example, has not even reviewed that. Literally came back from Costa Rica last night.
Through your manager.
Council President.
Well, I'll tell you this much, Carfor, that now that you mentioned, you put that in perspective when it comes to leasing and when it comes to owning. When it comes to technology, we have going through different energy saving aspect throughout this entire time, the last 3 years. And the fact that we own things that we used to lease before, perhaps the street light, we have saved money because of that. So owning is not necessarily the best option if we look at it from the perspective that you just described there. You just described there that we are not capable of managing things. And you just described there that we are not good enough to do this. And it is probably the reality today, but we are making a decision here for 20 years. It's a 20 years contract. This is not a 2 years contract. This is not a year after year. Like perhaps I give you a good example. We get grants from the police department that are every year. We have reviewed those grants many times. We say yes without even asking a question. And I actually asked a question on one specific technology that even though we're getting money, according to a lot of people, we might get target. We might be a targeted community. So those type of things are different than a 20 years contract. The last 20 years contract that I bought, It was on the maintenance of the water and sewer plant, or the water plant that we have in the city of Lawrence, and that was an increment of 5 years renewal. So it is not easy to vote on a 20 years contract, especially when it comes to solar panel and technology that have changed over the last 3 years more than they have for the last 20 years. So it is extremely difficult for me to even, you saying that it's a no-brainer. Yes, it might be a no-brainer. But guess what? Technology keep on changing on this aspect. And if we vote on something that it might not be beneficial, perhaps I put the real numbers on there, and in 20 years, the city of Lawrence on a massive project that is gonna be at City Hall, on top of City Hall, we're gonna be getting $81,000 within 20 years. So that means that we're probably gonna get about $4,000 a year. That's if the whole, because this is not, we're not entitled to this number 100%. Something might change, and it tend to change in a different way. But what we're not saying here is that we're paying out of this project, $56,000 were built into the project for the project to happen. Plus, we're not saying that out of the $81,000, we also giving back $30,000 from federal grants that we are supposed to receive. So the $81,000 is not $81,000, and those numbers, for the lack of transparency, yes, we are not capable of managing things, but if we vote on this, we definitely not capable of managing things when it comes to our job. So it's like those numbers are not even real, because those numbers is not telling people that we are giving out money for engineering evaluation of the project that were about $25,000 also. So it's like there are many numbers that were not part of it. That it's on the other side of the project that people might not be able to figure it out. And to be honest with you, yes, probably today we're not capable of managing those type of projects. But I'm pretty sure that in 10 years from now, 5 years from now, this technology is going to increase so much that we're going to have to consider other type of projects that are not necessarily the way that we've been dealing. Guess what? Last year we actually approved a new position to deal with this new technology, and we are paying somebody to actually deal with this. And
Not doing this, though. That's really just a person.
not doing the negotiation, but probably to look out for the projects as of how we're going to manage it. Before we didn't have nobody at the water department, but now we paying somebody that actually going to have to look into this type of project that we're going to go into, because otherwise, what's the point? So it's like we're not in the same position comparing this. When I saw this letter, it's like, okay, we're not in the same position as we were before. So to me, on my end, me personally, before I vote for this, on either leasing or owning, it might be a no-brainer, but I need to I don't care about the $56,000 with National Grid contract. That's not something that I'm going to make my decision, rush my decision based on that. I probably care because the project might come down, it starts from the get-go, but I got to make sure that we're not leasing or owning without doing the actual research that it takes.
Through you, Madam.
Give me a second.
1 second.
This is what we're going to do, Budget and Finance Committee. This is what we're going to do. From today to the next Budget and Finance Committee meeting, there will be 2 full weeks. That's, in my opinion, that's ample time to review. We're not requiring additional information, to review the information that was given to us, and to also give us time to seek that additional outside opinions or analysis, whatever it is that is needed for us to make a decision. I'm asking this committee to be ready, because the next Budget and Finance meeting, we will be making a vote on this. Because we will have ample time to make a vote on this, now that we have everything. Councilor Luzon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to add
to your comment, and yes, we are willing to work with you. Don't see this as a negative meeting, but I think we need time to review what you just sent us. And I know Anil has reached out and to schedule a few meetings, and some of them I have canceled, unfortunately. But we are willing to work with you for the benefit of the city. But please give us an opportunity to review it. And I would like to make a motion to table this item.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded, properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been made, properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it.